I'm good. I know. What was I thinking? I get dizzy really easy. Hello, minders. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor. Well, I've been up to some shenanigans other than spinning in my chair. Actually, not shenanigans. Serious stuff, okay? I've been busy as signified by no video last week, but my mini workshop is now up as a recording if you didn't get to see it or participate live. So you can go to Etcher and get that as a download. Very reasonable. $6 US, I think. I'll have the link for that down in the description. And as of the time I recorded this, I think there's 2 seats left in my 3-hour masterclass. That's coming up on September 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you hurry over there might be an opening left. Again, I'll have a link down in the description. All right, well, I had a really fun time doing today's video. So I've had a real itch to do something monochromatic in terms of a portrait. And along with that, I've really been anxious to try the Schmincke Liquid Charcoal. I've got 2 of the 3 colors they came out with. This won't be a review as such, but we'll talk about how to kind of paint monochromatically. I'll leave all those tips in the comments for the video. Ready to go, buddy? No more messing around. Let's get to it. All right, so I'm gonna draw and paint this distinguished gentleman here, this 18th century reenactor. I thought this was just an awesome looking guy. I love that beard. Love the salt and peppery gray. I thought that would be fun to paint. Has some pretty cool looking light on his hat. And I have a lot of these photos. I take lots of them. Being in South Carolina, we have a lot of Revolutionary War kind of reenactment celebration events, and this is just one of, I've got a few hundred of these photos actually from over the years. But I love this guy. I love the look on his face. I love everything. So here we go, and it's in my sketchbook. I call this my doodle sketchbook. It's my everything sketchbook. I don't do anything special. I may have a fairly tight rendered subject. In this case, it's just going to get transferred over to the watercolor block at a different size, so I can work pretty close to actual size of the photo. And that's what I did. And here is more or less my finished pre-study. You never waste time with these pre-studies, I tell you. They're always beneficial. And I'm going to be doing this on Winsor Newton Pro. I love that paper. It's a great paper. It's a good paper, I think, with a nice lifting quotient, which I wanted that little extra bit. Taking a photo here, and I'm going to use the Etcher mirror to transfer it to my watercolor block. I won't go into what the mirror is or does. I'll just leave you a link below in case you want to check it out. But it's a good way to transfer images by just snapping a picture. And then especially opaque surfaces. This is on a block. I didn't want to remove it, so I couldn't use a light box or a light tablet. You can also use transfer paper. That works just great. So I transferred it at a slightly smaller size. And I'm using my pre-study and the reference, the photo reference, to finish a nice tight drawing that I'm going to watercolor. Nice and tight. Tight. Well, and you can be loose over tight really easily. Yeah, so you don't want to draw loose and then try to make it tight. That doesn't work. But you want to get the face right. Whatever parts are going to be loose. If it's representational, it's not weirdly abstract somehow, you've got to have the face right, the facial structure. So the pre-study I did is not a waste of time. As a matter of fact, it kind of alerts me to several things. This is what I'm using. Schmincke Liquid Charcoal. They came out with 3 of these, sort of 3 shades. A Cherry Pit. This is the Cherry Pit Black. It's a very warm black. And I like that. I wanted to use them both this one and the other one. The other one is the Grape Seed Black. And it's a cool, almost a violet-y cool black. They have one more, it's a Peach Pit Black, and it's fairly neutral. Here you can see I swatched them out. Yeah, pay no attention to the tree. That was from some other little practice session. But you can see the little contrast of the cool, warm blacks. And I thought I would do the face in Cherry Pit Black and the rest of his clothing and everything Grape Seed. And here's my little blending tests of how I'm going to do this and try to make it kind of appear like a drawing, like a graphite drawing or a charcoal drawing. So this was going to be a fun experiment. And here we go. I just wanted to get some very loose wet and wet washes in the background. I wanted those washes to kind of move into the portrait itself. So you'll see me kind of pulling these wet washes from like clothing areas and hat areas out into the background. And that'll be fine because those are dark. And I can go back with another wash over the clothing hat areas to darken them. And then we just start in on the toning. I'm going to work from sort of mid-tones and light tones, and then down into the deep contrasting areas, darker areas, as we near the finish. I was anxious to get right into this beard. I thought it was just cool. You know, from this point, it's just a management of values. And you really benefit from doing some pieces like this monochromatically. You just get a lot of extra time in focusing on realistic values and converting colors into values. It's just a really important exercise, I think. It's a great way to study something like a portrait because it kind of absolves you of having to make color decisions, and you can go back and do the same thing in color. But I love the process, and I love the idea of just kind of making it look like a drawing, in which case I was very carefully modeling or blending my washes, and especially in the face part. It's a little looser and less persnickety with the hat and clothing. Things like hair and beards, they're a challenge because you obviously can't draw in every hair, and if you look at your reference carefully, you don't see every hair. You see broad little channels of value, and they have shape, and you may, on the edge of contrast, you may see a hair or two. So you want to kind of produce that same contrast or same suggestion, larger channels of value, and then sort of edge detail. Now here I'm just finding the value because I could tell I had that face too light, and I just wasn't sure how dark I could go and how dark that face was going to be in relation to the beard. So you can easily do that, just cut a circle or a square out of a white piece of paper. So I knew I could go quite a bit darker on this face, and needed to. Yeah, he was looking a little pale. I mean, I know he's 18th century, but he was looking rather ghostly.
Stitch.
And as you bring one value down in one area and adjust it, start getting it closer to where it needs to be, you'll see other values that need to be adjusted. And I just brought them down gradually. There are some watercolors that are great at just getting all down into the darks right off the bat. I don't feel confident doing that because I'm never quite sure how dark I want to go. I mean, I know I want to go dark, but you can get things looking too dark. Especially in a monochromatic piece like this, you can make the face look dirty, you know, when you don't have color. So I haven't done a portrait other than like in pencil, monochromatically for a little while. And you know, I just wanted to be careful, and you can do that. You can go gradually, just get those tones deeper and deeper. As you get the dark details like the eyes and the eyebrows and little recesses in the corner of the mouth, those are the darkest areas. It becomes very evident where the rest of the values kind of need to come. He's still looking ghostly and pale, but that'll change. Now the hat and the coat are both areas I didn't want to go as dark and black as they actually were. I just wanted indications of how the light was hitting them. And since this is a monochromatic piece, you can make your mind up about what color they even were. Just because he was wearing a black hat doesn't mean that it had to be black. And in fact, these hats were in all different kinds of shades and leathers and browns. So all I wanted to do was put in an indication of how the light was falling on them. Just hitting some of these shadow areas around the eye again. Just very, very enjoyable process for me, especially when I have spent the time to get the face right, to get the proportions of the face correct. Then I can just relax and do this kind of work. You know, getting the values too on a face is really a high exercise of observation. Really, any realism, any representational realism is an exercise in observation, and it's a valuable exercise. No matter what kind of painter you want to be, you ought to exercise that muscle of observation. You just pick up so many discoveries in light and shadow and shapes. I find it very satisfying and a lot of fun. Can you kind of see now the contrast between the warm facial tones and beard tones and the hat and coat? Now that's those two shades of black, the grape seed and the cherry pit. And I was really pretty tickled with that. I thought it looked cool. Now you don't need liquid charcoal to do this. You know me, I'm always testing new products. You can do this with monochromatic watercolors just as easily. Neutral tint, Payne's gray, sepia maybe. Daniel Smith has an array of all kinds of dark blacks and neutral tones. So use what you have. I'm just going to hit this rosette with a few washes, or whatever that's called, that little badge on the hat. Adjustments, adjustments, adjustments. And again, part of judging the values is to get values around areas like the face and get them where you want them to be, and then you'll know how to make values for like the face. But also, you know, I can leave this a little lighter. I don't have to get, you know, really as deep and dark, especially if I'm kind of going for a graphite pencil vibe, which I am. And so as long as I have some convincing values, I don't care if it's quite as dark as the photo, as long as it doesn't look weird. Now we're going to add this detail, and I wanted to add this pretty near the end, probably for obvious reasons, because as I'm doing washes over the face, that dark paint is going to lift up, and I don't want to have to paint around that. So I've got the face pretty close, and I think at this point any adjustments I make would be small, and I can paint around. But nice little detail there, those dark glasses. I'm going to add some dark to his coat there, and I'll allow that chin part of the beard to pop even more. Kind of enhance the idea of those cast shadows on him. I love it when you start to get the features in the right amount of contrast, and it starts to come alive. That portrait starts to really come alive.
He's alive!
Okay, I think we're pretty much near the end here. And I loved using this charcoal, liquid charcoal. I think it would be a great mixed media thing where you could use it with colored pencil, or you could use it with graphite, actual graphite. Could use it as an underpainting. Just really fun. Thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, patrons, for your support. It means the world, and we will see everybody in the next video. Bye-bye.